Hello everyone, and welcome to Sterling Lee Fine Art again on a Thursday night. 7 o'clock. Where else would you want to be? It's absolutely awful outside where I am tonight. It's chucking it down the rain, the wind's blowing a gale. So, thanks for joining me, and we are going to do some art, get creative. So, what are we going to be doing this week? I hear someone saying, "What are we doing this week, Darren?" Good question. So this week I'll just swivel you around. Be careful because you're on the table again. Don't move around too much, you might fall over. There we go. Beautiful piece that we were working on last week. This is now all dried off and it's nice and ready for the next part of the process. So what we're going to do this evening is, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to varnish it. Now normally, back to me. Hello. So normally we would varnish this with it flat on top of the table, but because of the lack of advancement in my shooting technology, I can't have the camera hanging over in mid-air because it will fall over. I'm going to do it vertical, so I have to put it on thinly. I hope it doesn't run too much. Anyway, so without further ado, I'll just pivot you around again. There we go. And I'll get some varnish, which I have just here. Put it in my little jar. Don't need too much because it goes quite a long way. Put the lid back on, most important thing. There we go. Artist varnish. Put it back down there and get my varnishing brush. Ta-da! One varnishing brush. Zoe Edmonds is washing. Zoe Edmonds is in the house. Good evening. And away we go. So I need to get this to completely cover this lovely piece of art. And can you catch? It's actually showing up on there. Is it showing that? Hello, Amanda. Is it showing? I can't quite catch the light with that there. But anyway, trust me, it's going on. Primarily, what I need to do is to get all that bit varnished, because that's what the gold leaf's going to go on top of. Gold leaf, I hear you say. Yes, gold leaf, no less. And because my brush is nice and thick, I've already soaked up all the varnish that I put in my little jar. So I'm going to have to get some more. So if I just look to the side there, I can see where this is all going on, because you don't want to have to keep going over it, because then it will run, and if it runs it'll look a mess, and if it looks a mess it'll be no good. Zoe Edmonds is watching me. Doesn't make me a bit concerned. So put some more varnish in there. Lid, top on, done. And away we go. Right. A bit more varnish on there, and so I need to, whilst I want to get the varnish all over this bit, because this bit's quite thick and it's quite pronounced, I need to be careful that I don't get a big build-up of varnish on the rough bits. A bit more on there. So when you're this close to the piece and you put the varnish on, it really just absolutely pings and it looks beautiful. And the varnish just gives it this lovely, really shiny sheen. Shiny sheen, no less. I sound like a furniture polish advert, don't I? So I have to get that all over, perfectly lovely, even coat, and all over that as well. And this will dry in about 2 days. And then the painting is protected, and I'll be able to put the gold leaf on the bit that I want to put it on. That's going to be the nerve-wracking stroke, very exciting stroke, fear-inducing part. I do feel that I'm going to have a little bit of a practice first before I start doing that in front of my adoring public. There we go, get nice and even. There we go. Done. I think I've covered everything there. We just have just check with the light. It's a bit light at the top right hand corner. You just need to see where the light bounces off it. You see, it's a bit light up there, not quite got much on that corner. If you don't want any dull patches, that's what you're going to be careful of. I'll just go over that bit again. Just get it all nice and even, so I've got an even spread over it. It's all very quite therapeutic actually. Beautiful, beautiful. There you go. Right, I'll leave that somewhere where I can't knock it over everything, because I normally do. And I'll get my trusty towel and wipe my hands off. So, that's that. That can now go and dry for a couple of days, and we're ready for the gold leaf. So, what I do now, I'm going to take that off there, and I'm just going to hang it, because I always string the piece before I start to work on it. That way I can actually hang it out of the way when it's drying, such as this. So I'll just pop that back on the wall there. There we go. That can now just sit there without getting knocked by me or walked past by the dogs or any other such incident. And I'll get the next piece. So what we have now is which you probably can't see very much of there. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go. There's a ballerina, and trailing behind her is a load of material. And what I've already done, I've just spotted something which I should have taken off, but I can do that now. Is, as you can see, that's already strung and it's stretched. So the stretches in the corners, well, 2 in each corner. Keeps the canvas nice and tight. So is it? You get that? That's how tight it's like a little drum. So as when you when you're painting, it is relatively firm. Now, one thing I've done on here, which I should have removed and I haven't, so I'm going to do that now, is, as you can see on here, you probably can't see actually because the light's quite strong enough, but you can't quite see, is I'm going to just remove that bit of drawing there. So I've already drawn all this in. Can't press too hard because if I do I'll bruise the canvas and I'll leave an impression. I just want to take the edge of the pencil off. Just get my towel just to wipe that off with. Because originally the model that I'm using, she got like a ballerina leotard on, but I don't want to show that in this piece. I want this material to be wrapped around her and it's all flowing out the back, all out there. Because when I've got this finished, well, when I've done all the painting work on it, all of this and all of that there, I'm going to do in gold leaf and copper leaf. So just actually the copper leaf I'm going to do in the darker parts I'm going to do in the copper leaf, and then the lighter parts I'll do in the gold leaf. that'll be quite a contrast, and I've not seen anything like that before, so hopefully that will be nice and original. Fingers crossed, eh? Fingers crossed. I'm just going to take a little bit more of that off there. But there. So I should have done this when I drew it out originally, but I got a bit carried away when I was doing the flowing material. I got all excited and I forgot to rub that bit out. So there we go. That is now rubbed down. So what we're going to do now? Someone asked, oh, good question. What we're going to do now? So that's going to be black. That's going to be black. She's going to be painted in flesh tones. That's going to be light grey. Then a little bit of shadow on there, and then all that there, I'm going to paint that all red, so as to take the gold leaf. So as when the gold leaf goes on, it'll just go ping. And if you excuse me, I'm just going to take the top off because, well, not take the top off. I'm going to get my tracksuit jacket off. I'm getting a bit warm. Okay then, right then, it's time for some action. So we'll have a nice large square flat brush, just like that one, and we'll get painting. So bit of medium, bit of medium, bit of black paint. Actually, I'll just show you the palette is all ready to go, ready and waiting. So I've got wonderful, isn't it? Some white, some burnt umber, some yellow ochre, black for the background, red for where the gold leaf's going, some grey for the bottom, and the flesh tones already mixed. I don't just knock this together, you know, it's not a 5-minute production. There's loads of backup work goes into this, background work, he says. Anyway, let's get some black on that brush. What you can't quite see from where you are is I've got my reference piece, and it's a lovely photograph that I saw on Tinternet of a ballerina with a completely different pose, but with something coming out the back, with all this material flowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. So there we go. You get a nice coverage of black paint on this. I've just realised what I have to be very, very careful with now is something that I do frequently, then get very angry with myself afterwards. Because I'm just painting this now, walloping this black paint on. Right there is a finished piece of art on the wall. If I'm not careful, I'm going to splatter it with black paint. I'm going to have to be very careful. There we go. Nice and easy. And what I also must do is paint the sides. Look at that going on there, beautiful. Beautiful. Nice, thick, buttery black. What kind of black is it? Oh, I've actually ripped the label off. I can't tell. I think it's ivory black, which is very strange because you tend to associate ivory with being white or like a creamy colour, but it's called ivory black, so who might argue? You just have to work this into the weave of the canvas, because I've not got a whole lot of medium on it because I want it to be fairly thick. As you can see, because the black's going on this now, when the gold and copper leaf go on, I'm just going to set it alight. So I'm just going to get it all on as much as I can with this big brush. And then when I get closer to the actual detailed part, I'll use a smaller brush. More of that, bit of that on there, we go. So now you can start to see where the material is flowing out behind her in the breeze. I just love that sound. That's just the sound of the the weave underneath the brush just rides over it. You like that? It's fabulous. It's music to my ears. It's the sound of creativity, that's what that is. The sound of creation. Bit more of that. Bit of medium. That's the top end of it done. Aha, he says. Before he forgets, move that out of the way, and I'll do the top. Because again, I'm painting on a box canvas, so because it's a box canvas, I have to paint the sides and I paint the base, I paint the top. So, it's the boring bit, I just wallop this on. So as the canvas actually wraps around the framework. Go, and there. Be careful I don't flick the canvas off the easel. It's always the first time for that. Not done it yet, but you never know. Anything can happen in the next half hour, as they used to say in a famous kids TV programme. That was Stingray. Go on, show me age now. Quoting Stingray in a painting session. On there. Nearly done. Got to make sure the canvas just folds over there. You just want to get it inside the fold as well, so you don't leave anything untouched. There we go, on to the next piece. So come down there, round there. Let's just show me where I can go. A bit more medium, a bit more paint. So what I'm also going to do with this as well is, because I want her ballet shoes to match what she's actually got wrapped around her, I'm going to put those in gold leaf as well. That will look quite special, I feel. Well, I hope it does anyway. That's the general objective. A bit more medium on this, not really spreading that well. It's not covering so well. There we go, it's better. So as usual with this, because it's just the first coat and I've got it quite watered down with the medium. It's actually quite patchy. So I don't think you're going to get from there, from where you are. But close up, it is actually a bit patchy. But this will dry because I'm using the flowing medium. This will actually dry quite quickly. So in a couple of days, this will be dry and I'll be able to go over it again. Put that on there. Cracking on now. A bit more medium on that. A bit on there. Bit more of that. It's almost blocked out now. Medium. Paint. And on there, go. Look at that going and covering beautifully. Right down the front. So I'm really going for quite an artistic look here, because you don't normally have a black painting hanging in your living room. So I'm being a little bit avant-garde, don't you know. What I'm going to do here, no I'm not, because I painted the top. I know I should have painted the top, because I could have turned it over. But well, I'll just do freehand. Just want to get this line in. Where I want the black to stop. I want the grey to start. And then what I'm going to do, which might make a lot of difference at this stage, because as I said earlier, I'm going to have to repaint this. But I'm going to blend the grey to the black. So it's got a nice broken edge to the colour transformation. So I don't want it to be too regimented in that area. Okay. Keep out your way. There we go. So now you can see where the ballerina is. Ta-da! The material's coming down, there's an arm down there, material's flowing down here and flowing off towards the end of the piece. So there we go. I'll just whack some black paint. Yes, excuse me a second. Just put that down there. Well, we'll get the way in a minute. You can see the painting again. But unfortunately, this is what we have to do. Nearly done. There we go. Lovely. And I'll just paint the other side. So that's done as well. So it's quite unheard of for me to paint all the sides on the first go, because I normally forget. And then you end up with one side, normally the bottom, which you can't see until you take it off the easel. There we go. That will do. That will absolutely do. So I'll clean the brush off. Get all that black paint off. Andy Carter, good evening sir. Nice of you to drop in. Thank you. Just wipe that off. Put that over there, and we'll crack on with the grey. So, a bit more medium again. Get the grey going on. And this all does look quite staid at the moment. I will grant you that. But when I get that gold leaf on, baby, is it going to pop? Bit of that, bit of that, bit of that on there. So all these preparatory stages, you can really just throw the paint on, and you just really get the thing having a very basic feel to what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. There we go. So that come right up to the black. So in a minute I'm just going to blend all that together. So there's no sort of hard delineation across the painting. And when I've got this, oh, there's a nasty lump there. Look at that. Ew. Get that off. When I've got this further advanced, what I will also do is, about where I am at the moment, there'll be a shadow off the ballerina and off the material that's all around her, and that'll further break that up and give it a little bit more of a broken feel down there. Medium, a bit too thick, a bit too thick that bit there. Here we go, so let's run some of that. Put that on there. There we go. Spread that all out. Right then, now I am going to get a blending brush. It's one of these little babies. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Nice blending brush. There's a nice arc on that, looks out. Gorgeous. And what you do is you go over the bit you want to blend. And it just blends the two together. It gives you a nice gradual transformation from the one into the other. Look at that. And then you don't see a hard line where the two meet. It's nice and gradual. Straight over the feet. Mind your feet, darling. Beautiful. There we go. I like that. That's come out quite well. So you can just bring the one down to the other. Can you hear that? What a lovely sound that is. That'll do for the time being. That's enough of that. That's enough of that fun and excitement. So, and there again, look, I'm saying so too much. So what we'll do now, I'll just dry that off. We'll get the red going on. How are we doing? 7:28. Nearly half an hour gone already. Can you believe it? Can you, Adam and Evie? Time just flies when you're having fun. Right then, so what shall I use then? I think I will use a nice size 3. I've rubbed the number off. No, it's a size 8. I'll use a nice size 8 on that. And I'll get some red on the go. But I'm going to need some more medium first because I've just used it all on that last expansive bit of black and grey. And this is where I can't get the lid off. Tricky stuff, this. Really easy. So just doesn't want you to get into it. There we go. Bit more of that in there. Actually, I'm going to chuck in the other one. I'm going to chuck in the other one because I don't want to get it diluted with all nasty greyness. Spoil the red I'm going to put on. Right then, so a bit of medium on that. Nice round, see, different brush again. A nice round acrylic brush really for acrylic paint. But I like the way that it feels with the oil paint on it. So let's just get the top of that down there again. So I've got something to lean on. Just bring that down to there. I don't want it exactly to touch it because I don't want it to mark it. I'll just keep it just off the top. Lock that in position. And there we go. That's my marl stick, and I will start to paint in where the red's going to go. Now, as I've said before, this red will be totally covered by the gold leaf when I get the gold leaf onto the piece. But this gives the gold leaf a nice base. Gives it a nice rich base to sit on, and the light will actually come through this from behind, weirdly, and steady, and give it an even greater quality. Or so they say on the YouTube videos anyway. Put that down there like that. So there's a little bit more definition to this now, just creeping in. I'm not going to bore you with finishing off the black all around the figure and the material, because that's just quite sort of, well, you know, it's not too dynamic, is it? Painting black outlines. We don't want to do that to the audience, do we, darling? No. So, get that balanced on there again. Oh, there we go. And get a smaller brush on that area, I think. Make it go on a bit easier. The other thing you have to be aware of as well, or very conscious of, when you are laying this paint down for the gold leaf to go on top of, is that the gold leaf is actually very, very thin, fractions of a millimetre in thickness, and so it will pick up every undulation underneath it. So whilst it will pick up the weave of the canvas, don't really want it picking up thick, heavy brush strokes. So you have to make sure that all of your brush strokes actually, how am I going to get that around the hand now? How am I going to get that around the hand? I think I'll leave a thumb in position for the time being. I'll just paint around the thumb. Yeah, so you don't want any heavy brush strokes actually showing through, so you've got to keep it nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. There we go. Bit more medium on that. Bit more paint. That's going to come out under there. Under that hand. Just kick back up like that there. Block that bit in. Block that bit into there. Take it up there. Whee! Down around the thumb. There we go. So now then, I'm just into the overall shape of this. Bring that around there. Just keep following the pattern there. What I'm going to have to do with this, because it's obviously just a base coat. And what I'm going to have to do before I get down to putting the leaf on, the gold and the copper leaf, I'm just going to have to go over it in a darker red, where I want the darker leaf to be. So I've actually got some sort of form to it. So I don't want it to be haphazard. It needs to be representative of the actual material that it's actually showing. So it just needs a bit of finer detail on it. I'll get that on there. I'll bring that around there. I do love painting material. Something very relaxing about painting material. It's quite beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, don't you know? That coming like that. That down there. Just get that filled in nice and crisp right to the edge, because the black's going to come against this. And I just want to give it a nice edge. Over there. Bit more medium, bit more red. This painting red underneath the gold leaf is hundreds of years old. It's a technique that is hundreds of years old. I don't know when it was first originated. Maybe I should look it up for next week. And then I can be able to give you a far more detailed, in-depth idea of what it's actually all about. That round there. So you're getting a feel there for where the material is actually going to flow to, and what I've actually drawn in. That round there like that. So you've got to give the impression that the wind's actually taking this and actually propelling it across the painting. It's all smoke and mirrors. Bring that down there like that. A nice little bit of movement in it, a nice bit of flow. It's blowing a gale outside. You can't hear that on the phone, but trust me, it's awful out there. That down there. Over there, like that. Get a nice bit of flow on that again. That is the outside of the material. So I will just block that in. Just leave that bit. That bit requires a smaller brush, a bit more detail. More detail than I can give it with this larger, thicker brush. That down there. Block that in. So the other thing I want to do as well is try to get this as even as possible. So I don't really want to go over this again if I don't have to, because this is just providing, as I've already said many times, a base for the gold leaf. So I don't want too much detail, but I do want some darker tones put on it when it's dried off a bit, just so as I can see where the copper leaf's going to go. Bit more medium, bit more paint. There we go. Easy as that. Bit thick that bit there, bit of medium on that, bit too thick. So if it's too thick, it just won't spread. You get clumps of it. So getting the paint on here is one thing, but actually managing how the paint goes on is something else. And there we go. So now you can really see where the ballerina is, and you can see where the material is going to flow out the back. And that's about enough for the red. This one's going to be pretty striking, I bet. I hope so, I really do. That's what I want. Big dramatic effect, and quite dramatic. Well, thank you, Mrs. Edmonds. That's awfully nice of you to say so. I've gone and painted quite conveniently over the shoes there, so I might have to rub that bit off. So this is the thing about when you're making art as well. When am I going to put this brush? Come on, where am I going to put this brush? Oh no, I'll put it on here because that's what I've got for putting brushes in. There you go, I can go on there. So what you have to do you just constantly be very mindful of what you've done, because if you're not careful, it's very easy to make a little mistake, and then if you're not careful it can be quite hard to correct. But at this early stage that's not really much of a problem. I'm just going to pull that off there like that. So that's the beauty with this oil paint, you can actually just remove it quite easily, but can't be too hard what I'm doing there, because again I don't want to bruise the canvas. So there you go. I'm actually glad that's happened, because you can see that, you know, there's always a little bit of work to do. You got to be mindful what you're doing, because it's quite easy to make a mistake. So I'll just chuck that down there. I'll just get myself a different brush. So that's the selection of brushes that I've got for this. These are my small detail brushes, which I do the detail with, oddly enough. Who'd have thought it? So I'll get my stick and I'll get some red paint, bit of medium on that, a very dry brush, bit of red paint, and I'll just come down here. I'll just kneel down there. I'll just paint her shoe in. Because these all look fantastic in gold. All that down there. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. So that's going to come down there. On that. Beautiful. There we go. I'll just get the ribbons in as well. There we go. There's the one. The other one. Just leave a little bit of a gap between the two ribbons, just so I can see where they're forming on her ankle. And then I've got one just returning back over there. Like so. There we go. So that's that and that's that. So. I'll now put the basic flesh tones on. So as you can see, the flesh tones going on to the ballerina. So what I actually did, I did think about this beforehand, because what I've got to do is I've got to stop stepping in front of the camera. So I've got myself a towel to my left, and I'll just keep forgetting to use it. I'll keep just going over there to try and use that one. So, there you go. Flesh tones, medium, paint, brush, paint, brush. But what I'm going to do first, I'm going to be a bit sneaky. And because I'm going to work on just on the left hand side of the piece, I'll pick that up. I'm just going to move that across as far as it will go. There. Bring that down, just like the rest on top there. And then I can work on this side without falling off the edge. How's about that, guys and girls? Oh, I shouldn't say that, should I really? Shouldn't say guys and girls. Note to self, don't say that again. I'll just pull that through there. So I've already mixed up a nice dark tone and a light tone for the flesh, but because I'm just blocking in, I'm only going to put the light tone on really. I'm not going to worry about any definition. 7:45, 3/4 of an hour talking and painting. It's amazing. So get the leg off the top of a thigh. Like I say, I'm not going to put any muscle definition in on this yet because I wanted just a basic colour tone so as I can see how it's going on. And then what I will do once it's dried, I'll then be able to go over with the darker tones for the muscle definition and the lighter tones obviously to sort of give it the three-dimensional effect that it needs. Not too sure about not having any material on around her posterior. Not quite sure how that will look artistically. Will it look a bit too much? I don't know. I have to sleep on that one because a leotard did cover up that bit there, which would seem more appropriate. But I don't know. I really don't know how that's going to work out. So down there. On the back of a calf. See, this is what I can't understand about some paintings mention no names. When models will just have a straight leg because no one's got a straight leg. You've got a thigh muscle, you've got your kneecap, you've got your calf muscles, you've got your shin, which is a very gradual slope for bending in. It's wonderful. The human body is a wonderful thing. Not a straight line on it anywhere. That's why I love painting it. There you go. So you can really get an image there, really get an idea of how it's all actually coming together on the canvas. Oh, there's essential heating kicking in. Prepare for takeoff. Fasten your seat belts. So this stick is just wonderful, absolutely brilliant. Best bit of equipment I've got. I made it myself. Trying to be a bit tight, well it ages, but it is brilliant. Perfect for doing things like this. You need something just to steady your hands right in the middle of the painting. It's all wet paint and you can't touch it. I'll leave that there, that'll do, that bit will do. And just cut the top. Hello there. Loving it. Well, thank you darling, thank you very much. Hopefully it will be lovely and dramatic. I'm really going for a dramatic, quite dynamic piece here. That's my goal, that's my aim. There. I'm not quite sure what to do with the hair on this piece. I'm not going to go too far over around the eyes and that because when I do facial expressions I like to get all the expressive parts of the face done in one go, and I'm not going to do that at the moment because I'm only putting the light tones on, so I'll just keep away from that. Like I say, I'm not quite sure what to do with the hair. I want to have it sort of going at the back as well. I might just do that because if I do that, see, this is the thought process going on as you paint, because you paint, you do something, you paint a bit and then you just want to go back and revisit it, and of course every brush stroke that you put on affects what you do afterwards. You just have to be very mindful constantly of what you're actually creating and how it's all growing and producing on the canvas, formulating, because everything you do has an effect on the next thing you do, be it small or large. So what I'm thinking of, if I pull her hair to go like all the way down there, if I just bring that back up a little bit there, then I can actually get her hair to go into that, and then when I put the gold leaf on, I can have the hair within the gold leaf, which might give it more of an effect, might make it look really nice. But I'll have to have a think about that, because that material is quite a distance away from her head. But we'll see. At this stage of the painting, anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible. I'll just pull that down there. There's her arm, just kicking out on her elbow. Come down to her wrist. The toe at the top. Quite flat off the back of her hand there. I won't put the fingers in because there's a bit of detail required in that, and I don't want to do that now. Because believe it or not, doing this, talking, painting and everything else all at the same time is a bit tricky, and I'm not really quite used to it, I've got to be honest. So I won't do the really detailed bits until I'm all alone. I've not got 3 million viewers over my shoulder watching what I'm doing, he says, hopefully. There you go. Look at that. That's really, you can really see what that is there, can't you? You can really see that now. So put a bit of that. I will put a bit of that down there. A bit down there. So that's what I love about this model. Every tiny bit of her is dynamic, right down to her fingertips, right down to where she places her thumb and her index finger. Everything is dramatic. There's not a piece of her left untouched for drama. There we go, that's the back of her neck just there. And what I will do is I will just clean that off. There you go. Nice little sound effect there, just like in the BBC Radio 4 studios. Can I have the sound effects for someone clean the brush, please? There we go, Mr. Edmonds, wonderful. Got a bit of brown. And there's the central heating kicking in again. Just block the hair in. Need plenty of medium with this, because this burnt umber, it's really thick. And you have to get medium on it to make it work, to make it flow properly. That's the beauty of oil paints over, say, acrylics. Because if you're painting with acrylics, the opacity, which means the way its ability to let light come through it, can change, but the texture of the paint itself very rarely changes unless you buy a specific heavy paint. See, with acrylics you can buy light bodied paint which is quite thin and runny, or you can buy heavy bodied paint which is quite thick, and you can actually mix it with heavy bodied medium, which makes it even thicker. That's when you're like painting with a palette knife and you're putting really thick paint on. But generally with oil paint, they're all a bit individual, and so you have to sort of learn your craft with the paint, because some of the paints are more opaque than others, or they don't let so much light through. Some of the paints go on quite easily, some cover quite well, others don't. See, even as I'm painting this on now, it's just the burnt umber. As I pull the brush round, you can't quite see it from there. As you pull the brush round, you get to the end of the stroke, actually lift a little bit of paint off. So there you go. So we now have one nice ballerina wrapped in, at the moment, red material, which is going to flow out all through there. on a black background with a grey floor, no shadow, no finer detail on the black. But you have the essence, the elements, the main elements of this piece in just under an hour. That's not counting an hour it took me to draw it in the first place. We'll forget about that. So there we go. Another episode, another hour in the life of Sterling Lee Fine Art, which I hope you've enjoyed. I have. I hope you have too. And we'll progress this through the week, and I'll try and get some of the gold leaf on between now and next time, although that's quite difficult because it's a very busy weekend coming up, but we'll see. Anything's possible. So there we have it. Thanks for popping in, those that did, and those that stayed till the end. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.